Hello folks, it's Anahita Rao, and I wanted to speak about the month of August today. Now, the first half of the month will have sort of an opposing flavor to it because of the oppositions happening. So it may trigger feelings of should I or should I not, that sort of thing. But the second half of the month will be smoother and will bring more clarity to act. And if you want to read about it further, I have posted, in fact, I always post something on the blog section on my website, which you can have a look at and also subscribe to. Yeah, so let's get into this. Now, the first big event that's happening in the month is on August the 8th, which is the new moon in Cancer in the nakshatra of Ashlisha. Now, the moon will join the sun at approximately 22 degrees of Cancer at around 3 p.m. UTC. And this can feel like a very emotionally draining time period. The ruling planet of Ashlisha, which is Mercury, is in Gandant at this point, at the very, very edge, 29 degrees of Cancer. And the moon itself, which is the ruler of Cancer, is being opposed by Saturn at this time. And as usual, is combust by the sun, as is the case on every Amavasya period, every new moon period. So in essence, the light of the moon is dim, and so it represents a better time to reflect than to act. Mercury is associated with intelligence, and the moon is associated with emotional, changeable, the perception-based mind. In Ashlisha, the ability to see beyond the material and the surface is actually quite high, and so we can make calculative decisions if we're able to silence the mind at this time because of that nakshatra getting activated here. Now, Mercury's Gandant position suggests that changes abound at this point can feel a bit faded and inevitable, maybe long overdue. But Mercury's position here, because it's at the end of that Ashlisha Cancer zone, it can also allow you to let go of toxic thoughts that are no longer serving your purpose. Yeah, because that's actually what comes to the surface at the end of that Cancer Gandant period, right? When you have Cancer merging into Leo at that very end. So for everyone, it would be a good time to practice letting go of in whatever aspect of life, especially for those who have Cancer Lagna or Cancer Moon, particularly in Ashlisha. And for the other water signs, Pisces and Scorpio, this again would be a good time to reflect on your life path because it's hitting your 9th house. But your Lagna Lord is strong at this time, so I think you'll be able to handle whatever comes up. For the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, this new moon can bring up some surprises. But again, your Lagna Lord is strong for most of the month. For Leo, it's not so much in the beginning of the month, but when it moves into Leo, the sun moves into Leo, of course, then the whole sort of situation changes for you. For the earth and air signs, it could be a challenging time because Lagna Lord is compromised for much of the month. Now, Mercury transits Leo from August 8th till August the 26th, hours after the new moon. In fact, Mercury moves into Leo. In Leo, Mercury isn't entirely comfortable, especially with Mars there. Mars in Leo, of course, is very strong, and it's getting even further boosted by Jupiter's aspect. Mercury is not so comfortable. It's in fact inimical to Mars, and so this can actually stir up some fiery energy, and toxic thoughts that were aroused in that Cancer Gandanta zone could result in some fights and arguments also. So the ability to forge ahead, though, and achieve your goals is strong when Mercury and Mars are together or connected in some way. Mars is action, Mercury is planning. And with Jupiter's aspect, you could feel, you could actually feel very productive and in fact be very productive, especially when Venus moves away from Leo. This is especially the case for those who have Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius moon or lugna. You may see a lot of activity in your life at this time. Venus transits Virgo from August 11th till September the 5th. Venus in Virgo is, of course, in a debilitated state, meaning that the awareness to deliver the results akin to its nature are low. Now, Venus's main impulse is to connect, but in a balanced way, right? Because that's the Multricone sign for Venus is Libra, for that reason. In a balanced way in the context of relationships, in the context of contracts of any type, agreements, and of course the use of material resources. But in Virgo, what happens is Venus gets too focused on the details. And so it can focus too much on the flaws here rather than the big picture. And this especially plays out in relationships. The only aspect Venus receives here is from Rahu. So our desire to connect will still be amplified, but we may not be connecting in healthy ways, right? It can mean rushing into relationships without proper judgment, for instance, or it can mean rushing into contracts without proper judgment. Venus will be alone in Virgo until the end of August when Mercury joins, and this to some degree will modify the results. So it's no longer a debilitated Venus in Virgo because its ruler Mercury is there, and that gives Venus a boost and balances out some of that negative debilitated energy. Post August 25th, when Mercury joins Venus, we can feel a more supportive Venus transit, and that's going to aid in making the right connections, and it's also going to aid in maintaining vitality. So if you're a Taurus or Libra, you may be feeling a little bit out of sorts during this Venus transit, but by the end of August, your energy levels should be back to normal. The other thing is, with the debilitated Lugna Lord, it can also bring up some health issues, so be watchful for that. Now, what else is happening? Sun is transiting Leo from August the 16th till September the 16th. As usual, every year the Sun makes its move into Leo at this time. This year, we already have Mars in Leo, so and Leo is currently receiving the aspect of a retrograde Jupiter, which is another friend of Sun. So it's actually a very, very good transit for the Sun this year. Jupiter, because it's still retrograde, has it's been retrograde for already a couple of months. What happens is there's different speeds in the retrograde motion, and around mid-August, when the Sun transits Leo, Jupiter actually would have turned around from the inauspicious Ativakri state, and it's changed direction, and now it's moving towards direct motion. Of course, it's still retrograde and it won't reach direct motion until mid-October, but the speed has changed and it's going back, it's straightening out basically, which is very positive for all matters related to Jupiter and all matters related to Aquarius post mid-August. Now, Jupiter normally gives the Sun a great boost because they're natural friends, and they're also the two planets that are both very vital for life and for growth. So the Sun's transit through Leo is normally always supportive of things like endeavors that involve being very creative, any kind of leadership activities or roles, any kind of self-improvement efforts. They're all supported by the Sun's transit through Leo, and this is especially beneficial for all the fire signs, especially of course Leo, so make the most of it. Now, what else do we have? The last thing that we've got going on in the month is the full moon in Aquarius in the nakshatra of Dhanishta on August the 22nd. So the full moon is happening in the sign of Aquarius at approximately 1 p.m. UTC on August the 22nd. The moon here, of course, is also joining the retrograde Jupiter, which is already in Aquarius, while the sun is joined by Mercury and Mars in Leo at this time. So it's always a culmination of sorts when we have full moons, which means it's a time to connect with others. The moon is brightest at this time because it's getting the glare of the sun from across the 1-7 axis. So relationships can take center stage. Now, with Jupiter close by, all matters related to what is represented by Aquarius will see positive developments, especially if you're going through a dasha of Mars or Jupiter at this time. Mars is the ruling planet of Dhanishta, which is considered to be which is also considered to be an auspicious nakshatra when it comes to creating wealth of all sorts. Being that Jupiter has been retrograde, there may have been reversals in the areas that are represented by Jupiter, as well as whatever is represented by Aquarius in your chart. But now that Jupiter's speed has changed, yes, albeit it's still retrograde, but we can still look forward to positive developments at this stage. With the aspect of Mars and Mercury, there may be some disagreements on how to move forward. There could be a lot of discussion, a lot of activity, so you can feel that there is some progress nonetheless. Yeah, like you may not agree on how to move forward, but at least there's discussions on these subjects, and so this is a positive development. Especially, it's positive development for everyone, depending on what Aquarius is for you, and also what Jupiter's lordship is for you. But it's especially positive transit for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, as well as the air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra at the full moon. Mars will provide the courage and subsequently the ability to act, and Mercury will provide the logical reasoning to do so. So a bit of a rocky start to August, but it gets better with time. So all the best, folks. Cheers.